Hey everybody, it's Tasha from Tasha Quilts, and today I want to talk to you about legit kits. I've recently started my very first legit kits. I bought the Skulliver Mini, which is a 1 of 3 design, so it says it's supposed to be a faster project with lots of details and fewer technical blocks. And so I have never done a legit kits before, which is a foundation paper piecing project. And so I thought I would talk you through my first impressions from unboxing to completing my very first block. So my first impressions of unboxing this legit kits was impressive. So everything comes completely labeled, very neat, and there are so many goodies in the box. So first off, in the box, everybody's favorite part, it came with some cute little stickers and a magnet. So that was like fun to open up and see. And then once you got inside, it was all really well labeled, and it came with a lot of instructions and what I'll call paperwork. So the first thing that it comes with is kind of this like overall help guide, instruction guide, kind of walking you through the different colors that are included in the kit and a little grid breakdown of the different pieces that you need to complete. So it's extremely, extremely organized and wonderful. And then you will notice the fabric. The fabric all comes perfectly labeled with the size, what color it is. I should mention I did buy the kit that includes the fabric. You can also buy a pattern with no fabric included and choose your own, but that would be way too difficult for me, so I did buy the kit that includes fabric. Also included in the pattern or in the box is the actual paper piecing pages. They're on a very light, like newspaper copy feeling, or actually it reminds me of like my kids' coloring books, weight paper, and so all of the papers are there and printed for you, so that is great. There's an assembly guide that's included. The assembly guide, basically, once you put together all the little components, it tells you how to sew them together into blocks. And last, probably the most helpful, but the most intimidating thing to me was these cutting guides. So for every piece of fabric that you get, it comes a guide to show you the best way to cut your fabric so that you don't run out of fabric. I will say that so far, the cuts from flipping through this, the cuts do all seem very generous. And I have heard, although I can't attribute to this, but a couple of people I have mentioned that if you miscut, they will send you more fabric. It's also Alcona cotton fabric, so you could easily reorder some yourself. So I decided when I got this kit and where I was going to start, I looked at the grid and decided which of the blocks that I was going to make, and I chose D4. In hindsight, I wish I had chosen A1. The reason why I wish I had chosen A1 is it's still a relatively simple block, but I think it would have helped my brain compute these fabric cutting guides a little bit better. The fabric cutting guides go in order as if you were starting at A1 and going down. So if there is a piece of fabric that has a lot of cuts, there's a chance that the D block could be like in the middle, and my brain wants to do exactly what is on those guides, even though they're guides. And so while I was warming up, I wish I had started with A1, but the instructions do say you should start with an easier block, so I do think that that's what you should do. But if by chance the kit you get, A1, looks like a relatively straightforward block, I think that's a good choice. That's what I wish I had done, but I'm doing just fine starting with D4. The other thing that surprised me about this kit so far through the first block is I thought the hardest part for me was going to be the actual foundation paper piecing, but that really has been quite simple. The hardest part for me was when I had to combine my sections into this block. This is purely a Tasha problem. It has no bearing on this kit. It has been a learning experience, but I did have some trouble lining up the sections, and I ended up having to seam rip, which isn't a big deal, but here are 2 things that I wish I had done differently sewing my first block together. First, I wish I would have used my normal stitch length, right? So I shortened my stitch length to be 1 instead of 1. I think I shortened it to 1.5, and I normally do 1.8 or something like that. I wish I had gone back to my default stitch length, because seam ripping on that tinier stitch was very painful. And since now I know, like, this is my problem area, I do think I'm going to use a bigger stitch length when sewing the blocks together. Second, I wish that if I had decided I needed to seam rip, I would go through next time and use Scotch tape and tape the papers and reinforce them a little bit so that when I'm seam ripping, all the papers don't come crumbling out. The papers are very helpful in figuring out how to line things up and provide a little stability, and I wasn't ready to part with those papers, so I was kind of putting them back together. So I would preemptively tape over the seam that I'm ripping. So my process to start has been I will pick one section of a block and I will pull the fabric that I need for that block and head over to my fabric cutting station. I will use a piece of template plastic, and fold back each section so that when I'm cutting, I can get a better estimate of how big I need to cut. So I will take the fabric that I need and the fabric cutting guides so that I can cut each piece of fabric. Once I have cut the fabric for that particular segment or piece, I will then refile my fabric so it doesn't get, all out of whack, and then sew up that little segment. And then I will repeat that process. I plan to store all of this in the box that came in the mail so that I'm staying organized. Have you done a legit kits? What's your method of tackling one of these blocks and your organization method? I've seen a few people out there who use binders and file folders, and I think I'm just going to use the box it came in, but maybe as I proceed a little further down, I'll need a better organization method more than just some binder clips and a pile. Overall, what are my first impressions of this kit? So I will admit that I bought this kit. It was a little bit of an impulse purchase. I'm pretty new to foundation paper piecing. Actually, I recently made a video about how I just started paper piecing, so I will link that here in case you want to see my history, but I would say that I'm a beginner foundation paper piecer. I bought this. It was $259 on sale, and I have to admit that I almost immediately had buyer's remorse as I waited for it to come here. I thought this was a very silly purchase. Why did I do this? Once I got the kit and opened it up and saw all the fabric, how everything was labeled, the in-depth instructions, the cutting guides, everything, and the satisfaction I feel from just completing this one block. I'll show you this block I finished. I have an overlay that I can put in of like the grid and the block I completed, and I felt so accomplished once I got that block done. It felt great. The other reason why I really like this project is because I can only think about this when I'm working on it. So other things, when you're chain piecing or, you're working on putting together some strips or squares, it's easy to kind of zone out and you can daydream and think. Because I think I'm a new foundation paper piecer and, this is a little complex, I am in the moment thinking about only that, and it has given me a great break from the torture of my brain while I'm working on it. So it is really worth it for me. I do think this project will take me, I wouldn't be surprised if it takes me the majority of the year because I plan on only working on this when I have enough time to get through a block. So I'm not able to pick this up and put it down in 5 minutes. I got kids. I've got I need to be organized and I need to have dedicated time. So I am looking forward to how long this project will take me and the satisfaction that's coming from this project. So I went from buyer's remorse to super happy about this. If you were to buy the legit kits, they do have a rating on them from 1 dot to 3 dots. This one's a 1 dot. I do feel that this is pretty complicated for a beginner foundation paper piecer at 1 dot. I would be hesitant to go straight to the hard, but you do you. If you want to give it a go for it. Overall, very happy with this purchase. I will put a link down below to the one I got. I'm excited to continue on this journey. If you've done a legit kits and you have tips or tricks or anything that you want to share with me, by now that I want to hear it. So I would love to hear it. Don't forget that I'm live Thursdays at 9 p.m. I hope you find some time for yourself. I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye.